Let me tell you something. There comes a moment in life, in every relationship, when you've got to stop reaching out. You've got to take a step back, not because you don't care, but because you know you've given enough. And here's the truth. When you stop reaching out, everything changes. The dynamic shifts and the weight of the situation falls on the other person. Why? Because you're no longer chasing after something that's not meeting you halfway. You see, when you stop reaching out, you force him to reflect. You force him to look inward. Suddenly, it's not about your constant efforts anymore. It's about him understanding whether he truly values what you bring to the table. When you stop reaching out, he has no choice but to ask himself, what am I doing here? What am I willing to give? And that's where growth happens. That's where self-awareness comes into play. When you stop reaching out, you create the space for him to rise up, to step forward, or to step back, whatever it is, you're going to get clarity on where he truly stands. But here's the thing. When you stop reaching out, you give him the opportunity to decide if he's going to step up or step away. You don't have to chase anymore. You don't have to convince him. The ball is in his court. And that's the beauty of it. Because if he wants to be a part of your life, if he sees your worth, he'll rise to the occasion. He'll step up. He'll show you that he's willing to meet you at the level you deserve. But if he doesn't, if he's not ready, he'll step away. And that's okay too, because you've got your answer. And that's all you need. You're no longer wasting time on someone who isn't willing to give what you're giving. And when you stop reaching out, something amazing happens. You reclaim your power. You stop waiting for someone else's approval. You stop chasing. You stop putting your life on hold, hoping someone else will fill the void. You start standing tall on your own. You start valuing your own time, your own energy. You recognize that you don't need anyone to complete you. You are already whole. And in that independence, you find strength. And that strength, that confidence doesn't go unnoticed. People start to recognize that you're not here to be anyone's second choice. When you stop reaching out, you make it clear that your time, your love, your energy is precious, and it's not to be taken for granted. Those who truly value you will see it and meet you at that level. And those who don't, they'll step aside and you'll be better for it. The final truth is simple. When you stop reaching out, you teach others how to treat you. It's not about playing games or manipulating someone into showing up. It's about respecting yourself enough to stop giving away pieces of you to people who aren't reciprocating. It's about setting a standard. When you stop reaching out, you set a boundary. And that boundary shows the world just how much you respect yourself. You show them that you're not desperate for validation, that you won't settle for anything less than what you deserve. And let me tell you something, respect for yourself, that is magnetic. That's what draws in the right people, the people who will meet you where you are, who will walk beside you, who will give as much as you give. So stop reaching out. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough to stop chasing something that doesn't match your energy. When you stop reaching out, you're not giving up, you're taking back control. And in doing that, you give yourself the greatest gift of all, the clarity, the space, and the respect to find what truly belongs in your life. When you stop reaching out, it forces him to confront a truth that he might have been avoiding. You see, we often think that by constantly extending ourselves, we are showing care, love, or commitment. But the reality is, when you stop reaching out, you give space for him to do the one thing that's essential in any relationship: self-reflection. In the silence, in the absence of your constant efforts, he has to face the question of whether he's truly present in this relationship or if he's been taking it for granted. He has to look inward and evaluate his own actions, the way he's been showing up, and whether he's putting in the same effort that you have. Sometimes it takes that distance, that gap, for a man to finally see where he stands, to check if he's been truly invested or if he's just been passive. When you stop reaching out, you create the room for him to examine whether he's been present in the way he should have been. This doesn't mean you're waiting for him to change. This means you're giving him the opportunity to decide whether he can meet you at the same level. When you stop reaching out, you put the power in his hands, but not in the way you might think. It's not about manipulation or control. It's about giving him the opportunity to step up or step away. By withdrawing your energy, you make it clear that you won't settle for half-hearted efforts or someone who isn't fully committed. This pause forces him to make a choice, and that choice speaks volumes. If he values the relationship, if he sees your worth, he'll feel the weight of your absence and will rise to meet you. He'll take the initiative, make the effort, and show that he's willing to match the energy you've given. But if he doesn't, if he's not fully invested, he'll fade away. And in that moment, you'll see who he truly is, whether he's someone who's capable of stepping up or if he was just comfortable with the easy flow of you constantly reaching out. Either way, you're left with clarity. You've stopped reaching, and now you're witnessing who is willing to step forward and who is content to let you walk away. It's not about you chasing. It's about him deciding whether he's willing to run beside you. When you stop reaching out, you reclaim a part of yourself that may have been lost in the constant pursuit of someone else's attention or approval. It's a powerful moment because it's no longer about seeking validation or waiting for someone to meet your needs. It's about recognizing your own worth and standing firmly in your own strength. By withdrawing your energy, you send a message that you are complete on your own. You don't need anyone to complete you to make you feel whole. You become independent, not just in actions, but in mindset. And in that independence, there's a quiet strength that makes a man look at you differently. He sees someone who doesn't chase, someone who doesn't settle, someone who is focused on their own growth and happiness. And when he realizes that, he's forced to reckon with whether he can rise to meet you or whether he will remain stuck in his own limitations. If he truly values you, he will recognize the shift, and in turn, he will step up, not because you asked him to, but because he understands that he's now playing in the same league. The moment you stop reaching out, you show him that your time, your energy, and your love are not things to be taken lightly. They are treasures, and they are reserved for those who are worthy. When you stop reaching out, you begin to set a standard for how you expect to be treated, and that standard starts with respect. It's a bold statement that says, I value myself enough to stop chasing after someone who isn't willing to meet me halfway. In doing this, you stop seeking approval, you stop waiting for reassurance, and you stop depleting yourself trying to convince someone of your worth. By pulling back, you show that you're not desperate for attention or affection. Instead, you're confident in who you are and what you bring to the table. And here's the thing, people respond to that energy. When you stop reaching out, those who truly care for you, those who respect you, will feel the change and will step forward with greater intention. They will understand that the game has changed, that you are no longer just giving and giving without receiving in return. For those who might have taken you for granted, your absence serves as a wake-up call, forcing them to recognize the value you offer. You become a mirror for others to see their own actions reflected back. When you respect yourself enough to stop reaching out, you raise the bar for everyone around you, making it clear that you will no longer tolerate being treated as an afterthought. And in doing so, you naturally attract more respect, more admiration, and more meaningful connections because people know they cannot take you for granted. In the end, when you stop reaching out, you don't just give space for others to decide. You also give yourself the opportunity to step into your own power. You no longer chase, you no longer settle, and you no longer put your worth in the hands of someone else. You become the person who determines how you're treated, who draws the line, and who sets. When you stop reaching out, you send a powerful message about how you value yourself. It's a moment of standing firm in your worth, knowing that you deserve respect, care, and equal effort in any relationship. Too often, we fall into the trap of constantly giving, constantly chasing, hoping that our actions will somehow show the other person how much we care. But in doing that, we risk losing sight of our own needs and desires. By stopping the outreach, you set a boundary that says, I won't settle for less than I deserve. It's not about punishing the other person or playing games. It's about recognizing that your energy, your time, and your love are precious. You have every right to protect those things and direct them toward people who appreciate them. When you stop reaching out, you stop depleting yourself for someone who isn't giving in return. And that is a clear act of self-respect. You show that you are not desperate for validation or approval. You show that you are whole on your own. And anyone who wants to be a part of your life must meet you at that same level. This boundary doesn't just protect you, helps the other person see where they stand and whether they are willing to rise to the occasion. You stop chasing, and in doing so, you teach others to step up or step aside. When you stop reaching out, you create a space where things become clearer. The constant effort to maintain contact or chase after someone often clouds our judgment, leaving us unsure of where we truly stand in a relationship. By stepping back, you allow the other person to show their true intentions. It's like pressing pause on a game, giving both sides the opportunity to reassess. The other person is now left to decide if they're willing to put in the effort or if they'll fade away. It's no longer about you trying to keep things alive. It's about letting things unfold naturally, without the pressure of constantly pursuing. In that space, you gain clarity, about what's real, what's genuine, and what's worth investing in. You'll quickly see if the relationship is one-sided or if the other person is willing to step up and meet you halfway. And this clarity isn't just about what the other person does, it's about what you realize in yourself. You start to understand the value you bring, and you learn the importance of letting go of things that don't align with your growth. Stopping the outreach gives you the power to take action from a place of understanding, not desperation. You can move forward with confidence, knowing whether to invest more time and energy or whether to walk away, knowing you gave it your all. It's about taking deliberate action, not based on hope, but on the clarity you've gained by giving space and letting things unfold. In the end, when you stop reaching out, you don't just give space for others to decide. You also give yourself the opportunity to step into your own power. You no longer chase, you no longer settle, and you no longer put your worth in the hands of someone else. You become the person who determines how you're treated, who draws the line, and who sets the standard. Those who truly value you will step up because they'll see the change in you, and they'll realize that what you offer is something worth fighting for. The ones who aren't willing to match your energy, to meet you halfway, will show their true colors, and you'll have the clarity you need to move forward. So remember this, when you stop reaching out, you're not giving up. You're giving yourself the respect, the space, and the time you deserve to build the life, the relationships, and the future that reflect your true value. The power has always been within you. You just had to stop reaching out to realize it.